coins. Tether obviously has been supposedly doing it. We'll find out whether Tether gets chopped off at the knees here shortly. Um, I'm actually I'm in the minority where I think that Tether may have some legitimate backing, but I don't know that they're at the level that they claim to be. I think they have some legitimate backing, but I don't think they're necessarily at the level that they claim to be. And of course, the government is completely oriented towards slamming them to the mat and making an example of them. And if that's what they want to do, more than likely they will be able to do it. And that could be a really big hit, not only to Tether, but to Bitfinex. And Bitfinex is one of the biggest exchanges out there. So that's something that's always on the horizon. But we need the stability. Gold and silver can offer some of that stability, and it would have a deflationary bias. Now, gold and silver have gone into bubbles too. And that's the nature of what happens in a fiat currency. You get bubbles. If we shift to cryptocurrency, where you have a stated limit, whether it's really held to or not, but a stated limit amount of currency, gold and silver would steady out and they would develop somewhat of a deflationary bias. Of course, it depends on the level of acceptance, but a deflationary bias. That's what the nature of gold and silver are. So here we go. Let's talk about some of the currencies that are addressing stability, because I think this is going to be an issue as we are moving into more of the application stages. And EOS is going to be introduced full-fledged in June. It's just around the corner. I mean, a little while. And supposedly it's going to be so accessible. I mean, Neo is already pretty darn accessible. Komodo is very accessible. So we're getting these projects, and Simple Token also. Next has been accessible for a while, but it's a dead project. Ardor and Ignis are in the same boat. Ontology's coming down the boat with Neo. I mean, there's so many platforms, but we're at the point where we've got really viable projects. Meaning, when you create a cryptocurrency on it, it's fast. It can be private, it's distributed, limited amount. I mean, it's all these aspects of what we really, really need, as opposed to Bitcoin is slow and costs a fortune, and the Lightning Network makes it complicated, and Litecoin is relatively slow. You can't really buy coffee with Litecoin. Bitcoin Cash, even though it claims it's fast, it's the same speed as Bitcoin original was. It's not fast. Dash and PivX, you can definitely do it. BitBay, you can definitely do it. A couple of other ones, you can definitely do it. But BitShares has pegged currencies in its exchanges. Pegged currencies. Does anybody use them? A few people, not a lot. It's a very tricky algorithm to work with, and it's not pegged to. It's not really translatable, as far as I know, translatable into the fiat currencies, but it behaves similar to them. If you get what I'm saying, Steam is about to become that. I should have put this here. Steam. You know what? Let's do this. And Steam soon. Steam is about to do it directly into fiat. They're working on it. It's not too far off. Be a very big boon to Steam. Tether we all know about. DigexDAO we all know about. Now, in order to get gold out of DigexDAO, you have to be up at 100 grams. So you're looking at roughly, in today's dollar terms, you're looking at roughly, I would say, by the time you add in all your service fees, $4,500 before you can get any gold out of DigexDAO. And they charge you a whopper fee. So, take that with a grain of salt. Goldview, BitBay is launching its dollar peg, not this quarter, but next quarter. And BitBay already goes from a national currency to cryptocurrency quite easily. If I were in Poland and certain parts of Europe, you can do it very easily. So it's very accepted there. Zifter is failing. It's tried to be at US dollar peg. And Nubits is also very, very questionable, even though it's done relatively well. So I don't know. I mean, if Tether survives the subpoena, the flip side, Tether is going to play an important role. Digex is already getting enormous value in the market. Enormous value in the market. So Digex may well play a role. I think Steam is already playing a role. I don't know that BitShares will. I don't think it will. I think Steam is already playing a role. So Goldview, I'd have to research it more. I don't know that that's ever going to come online. I'll tell you what, I would buy, if I could verify that it was a serious operation and stored its money, stored the silver in Brinks or something like that. Brinks, I trust, and a couple of other ones. And far off, I would definitely own some of that crypto, in silver especially. Definitely own some of that crypto. I already own some gold-backed crypto, but BitBay may take a big role. I have not seen anything indicating that Litecoin or Dash or Bitcoin are really going with any kind of a backing or have a stability plan. I haven't seen that. Now, Dash, I think, actually does have it. Come to think of it, I think Dash has somewhat of a stability plan. And I think Litecoin, of all of them, because of the LitePay and the Lite card, debit card, I think Litecoin could pop that out more soon than just about anybody. That's my opinion. In fact, has anybody there, Jonathan, I don't know if you've heard, has Litecoin stated that it's going to be pegging at any time or translatable? Anybody heard about that? I have not. That's why I looked into it. I haven't seen it, but I'm just curious if anybody in the chat room has.
Yeah, I haven't heard that it is.
Okay. All right. Well, nobody in the chat room seems to be aware of it, but that's what I think is coming down the pike. We're going to get some sort of a stability, and it's probably going to require the government involvement. Hopefully not, but that may happen. And I think it's kind of ridiculous to peg to a fiat currency myself. Totally ridiculous. I think pegging to gold or pegging to silver. Here's the issue with that. You automatically introduce centralization. You automatically make it so that the criminals, whether they call themselves a government, whether they call themselves a MS-13 or a gang, now knows you have gold stored somewhere, and it becomes a target. So that's a big issue. So for just to leave you with some ideas to make some money from, because that's my goal, not just talk big picture, just to talk it. I think DXY is headed down significantly from here. Jonathan, of course, can analyze it too and give you his opinion, but my opinion is, based on my analysis, we have a long way to go. A long way to go. Drop down. And in March, we'll get an indication whether or not that's going to turn into a waterfall event. But I think at this point, it has every indication that it will. Expect a Fed government bank intervention. Not necessarily to raise rates at all, but to step into a crypto market to introduce a new crypto, the Fed coin or something like that. They may say, we're going to burn the dollar, we're going to keep the rate, we're going to keep the rates low, or they may jack up the rates and try to save the dollar if they're not ready. I think that's a debate that's going on right now. It will be forced on the markets. That's what I expect. And this is what I'm doing, and I've already talked a little bit about this. My long-term portfolio is main tier coins. I'm not going with many speculative coins in my long-term portfolio. Main tier coins, because I think that's where that's going to receive the flood of the currency. And then I have a more speculative portfolio that will be with small coins. And I have about 1 minute. I wanted to talk to you about an ICO that I am actually rather interested in. If anybody's interested in hearing about that. Well, JD, I had a list on that, but I'll tell you basically just from the top of my head. Yeah, by market cap, sure, absolutely. Well, I think I don't know if I put it in my slides here. Okay, main tier coins. Right now you have Ethereum, you have Litecoin, you have Dash. Of course, you can put some in Bitcoin as well, obviously. Dash I consider a main tier coin, absolutely. Walton, Neo, EOS, main tier coins. Now EOS is, the only reason EOS is in there is because of Dan Larimer and the projects he's already developed and how far along they are. Cardano is not in there. IOTA is not in there. And I know IOTA just announced great news. I'm saying IOTA isn't ready for prime time and will not be ready for prime time for quite a while. That's my opinion on it. And the market seems to be validating that opinion. I don't consider Tron ready. I think Tron has some prospects, but I'm not Those are some of the main ones. Icon is in there. VeChain is in there. Those are some of the main tier coins. They have substantial funding. They can get through anything, any market turmoil. They have hardcore IP, intellectual property. They have significant use cases. They already have applications which give them fiefdom value. All this applies except for EOS. EOS doesn't have all these, but EOS has a unique situation where Dan Larimer has produced 3 of the top crypto projects out there. He's not going to fail on the 4th. He'll run rings around Cardano. I've already heard the details of why he will do that. That's why I say EOS is a very significant holding. But that gives you some idea of what I'm considering main tier coins. Anybody see what the significance of this presentation is today compared with what the dollar is likely to be doing? Do you realize what that portends? And again, this is my analysis. I can't tell you, to agree with it or not agree with it. You may not agree with it. But based on my research, it suggests that as the dollar craters, which is happening shortly, we're in for exactly, oh my God, giant potential ride. Because people aren't going into gold and silver. Gold and silver have unlimited naked shorting and concentrated. Now, I say naked. That's not really true. Because in the commodities market, everything is zero sum. Every short has to have a long, every long has to have a short. However, you get a concentrated number of shorts. They can just continually issue shorts nonstop. And that's what's happened. So the gold and silver are not the savior that they would like us to necessarily believe. Although I think holding it in your hand is certainly a better thing, and it's never, ever, 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 ever going to zero. Period. End discussion. Never, ever. Cryptos could go to zero. All you do is unplug the electricity. Gone. Ask the people in Puerto Rico. Gone. So, keep that in mind. I always do. Even though I'm an active trader, I know the risks. So I'm watching the dollar. I'll update this thesis, but it's a big thesis. It's an important thesis, and it's one that is informing and directing my trading and my investing. Yes, exactly. Jonathan, thank you so much for your patience. It is all you, sir, and thanks, everybody.